The only difference between us and Jesus is that Jesus doesn't doubt who he is. I want to take us into lesson 221. The course is divided into two parts. I'm going to give you a brief little history about or information about the course. The workbook is a section with 365 lessons. The first 220 lessons shows us what the ego is all about. It takes us into an exploration of the mind. It shows us very clearly steps that we can take to become more aware with lots of exercises to sit and observe the mind and question the thoughts that we're having and begin to be honest about those thoughts. Some are fear-based, some are judgmental, some are righteous. We are becoming familiar. It's really education in psychology. We're learning what we are. The second part, from 221 forward, those are very short lessons. It's a one paragraph of information, and then one paragraph is really like a prayer, a statement where you are talking to God, a prayer to God, to train our mind in the more mystical part of spirituality. So one is psychology. You got to understand your mind. We're retraining our mind to think correctly. The other one is we're recognizing that within us there is something that cannot be described. It must be experienced. So we're going to go into the second part. We're going to look at the more mystical aspect. And this makes more sense after you've trained your mind with the first 220 lessons. So 221. And these are all statements of truth. When you read the titles of the lessons, they are mantras. They are statements of the truth of who you are. And when you fully understand that, what you are stating, you're training yourself to either memorize it or you're beginning to put words together that maybe you would not have put together because you didn't know to put them together, but you've been feeling them. It's like you say it and it lands because, wow, I feel that. So this lesson 221, peace to my mind. Let all my thoughts be still. First 220 lessons, we train the mind to understand that our mind is full of thoughts, and the thoughts can get divided into two categories. The thoughts of the ego, which are fear-based, the thoughts of the Holy Spirit, which are love-based. So peace to my mind is because I understand I've got two thought systems, and I'm choosing now not to think with the ego. That leaves my mind at peace because the Holy Spirit's not talking to you, constantly throwing out information in your head is not doing that. Holy Spirit speaks when you ask, when you are choosing to receive guidance. The second part, let all my thoughts be still, is because you are a master of your mind and you deliberately say, I want stillness. I don't want to listen to these egoic thoughts. You have learned how to swim to the depths of you, and you can observe all those thoughts like little fishies swimming above you, and you're choosing to say, nope, not gonna be entertained by any of this. Then what happens is what's so beautiful. The first paragraph, which is in italics, this is the prayer part, and it flip-flops. Each lesson, prayer comes first, the statement comes second, or vice versa. So we're going to go with the prayer first. Father, I come to you today to seek the peace that you alone can give. Notice the certainty in that statement. Father, I come to you to get something that only you can give. So now I'm acknowledging that I'm coming to the source of what I'm looking for. Father, I come to you today to seek the peace that you alone can give. And if God is the source of peace, and you have trained your mind to recognize God's not out there, God's within, God is what you're made of, well, where are you going to go to meet God, to experience that peace? You're coming within. Second sentence, I come in silence, meaning I have trained myself to quiet the ego mind. I am coming in silence. I have done the work. I am mature enough to recognize you are the source of peace. You are inside of me. And for me to feel that peace, I must silence the ego. I must silence all distractions. In the quiet of my heart, the deep recesses of my mind, I wait and listen for your voice. Again, this is a very certain commandment here. I'm detailing very clearly what I'm doing. I wait and listen to your voice because I know I'm going to hear it. So there's that certainty of where I'm going to. I know it's in the quiet of my heart, meaning I have quieted my mind. So my heart now doesn't have to be protected. It doesn't have to be blocked. It doesn't have to be in a state of anxiety. I can be totally and completely in a peaceful state, coming to the place, to the quiet of my heart. My heart has been allowed to just be. This is the fountain of love. This is the place where love emanates. So I'm saying very deliberately to God, I've done the work. I quieted my mind. I've taken responsibility for creating the space. I'm setting the stage. I'm coming in to meet you, and I expect you to be there. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that just absolutely an amazing thing to say? Father, I come to you today to seek the peace that you alone can give. I come in silence, in the quiet of my heart, the deep recesses of my mind. I wait and listen for your voice. My Father, speak to me today. I come to hear your voice in silence and in certainty and love. Sure, you will hear my call and answer me. When we begin to create that kind of a relationship with God, is because we know our worth. We know we deserve it. We know that we have been created by God, given total free will to separate. You cannot separate yourself from that which you are one with, but you can have an experience of separation. So my mind has been completely filled with information, misinformation, lies, they're not true, that I'm separate from God. Religion has done a fabulous job of putting God over there and me down here. So I've done all the work of realizing, oh, that's made up by humans, just like politics is made up, just like our medical system. That's all made up. None of that is part of what God created. It is not part of the truth that comes from love. Those are all blocks to love. The way the political system works, the way the medical system works, those are obstacles to truth, obstacles to integrity, obstacles to well-being. That's what those things are the result of humans who have disconnected from the truth of who they are, not listening to God in quiet because they already know it all, making up laws, making up medication because they know it all, but because they're serving the master of the ego, because you can only serve one master, but they've chosen to serve, and I'll put myself in that category, we choose to serve the ego. We are going to be doing things in the darkness. Why? Because the ego is a block to the light. If light is all there is, then what we're experiencing is darkness of our own creation. When we start looking at it, when we start questioning and we start removing those obstacles, light's going to be there. So again, there is no source of darkness. There is only light that has been blocked. So this is a statement stated by somebody who has done the work of removing blocks. Maybe you haven't removed all the blocks. I sure haven't removed all my blocks. Things come up at different times, different places, different situations, activate different thoughts that sometimes I hadn't thought of in years or didn't even know it was in there. But it's something that I've picked up from the environment, and it has found a place in the recesses of my subconscious mind. And because I am so committed to this journey, any irritation becomes an invitation to look at things. So here in this statement, by somebody at a mature level in their journey, very disciplined in quieting the mind, and also remembering that you are worthy, you were created by God, so you are in essence, God being you, making a statement, a declaration of certainty coming from worth. I am ready, I prepared the space, now I expect you to be there. I expect you to speak to me when you are ready. But one of the characteristics of a teacher of God is patience. I will be patient because you will speak to me when it is the right and perfect time for me to receive your message. Then this paragraph 2, which is a statement that kind of puts all of this together. And this is Jesus giving us all this wonderful information of what he did to go on his journey to remember the truth of who he is. So Course in Miracles are the exact steps that Jesus took. So this is the instruction. Now, do we wait in quiet? We stayed our prayer. We put it out there. Now we wait in quiet. God is here because we wait together. I am sure that he will speak to you. This is Jesus telling us, listen, little brother, little sister, I'm sure he's going to speak to you. And you will hear because you have created the space. Accept my confidence, for it is yours. Our minds are joined. We wait with one intent to hear our Father's answer to our call, to let our thoughts be still and find his peace, to hear him speak to us of what we are, and to reveal himself unto his Son. Jesus is basically saying, listen, if I can do it, so can you. I did it. I felt what that felt like. I experienced total liberation. As a matter of fact, I even resurrected. They couldn't even hold me down, even though they killed the body. Why? Because we're not bodies. What we are is non-physical consciousness. So Jesus is preparing us to remember the truth of who we are, which takes a while to recognize that you're not this body that you're in. That's not who you are. What you are is so much more. And Jesus is breaking it down into as many little steps as it can give us so that we can do the work of training the mind. Because when you believe the truth that you're not a body, then you begin to feel the spaciousness, the unlimitedness that allows you to know yourself as way beyond that body. And you can begin to experience a form of separation between you and your body. And you know you're not just confined by this physical vessel. It shifts your relationship with your body, because now at times, and maybe this is what they call out-of-body experiences. I don't know. I've never called it that. But I experience times when I'm observing my body. Oftentimes it happens to me when I'm in meditation, or even when I'm drifting off into sleep and I'm like hovering above and I'm seeing and I'm recognizing, okay, that's I'm not that body. I am this essence that is observing this body. And that level of detachment from the identification with the body allows us to begin to experience ourselves as what we are, which is spirit, which is light. And then you can begin to realize your mind is what commands this body to do what it does. But of course, that comes with time. And here Jesus is letting us know, accept my confidence. He's confident. And for me, it became very clear, if Jesus can do it, so can I. Because there's nothing anywhere in the Course that tells us that we don't have Jesus's abilities. And as a matter of fact, Jesus goes on to tell us in the Course in Miracles that the only difference, and this is just so beautiful, but it is so accurate. And again, radical honesty says, yep, he's so correct. The only difference between us and Jesus is that Jesus doesn't doubt who he is. We still doubt who we are. We're still identified with bodies. We still think that we're, just a human on this little planet and scared of the big, bad, scary aliens or whatever. And Jesus is telling us, the only difference between us is I don't doubt what I am, because he's done this work. So in his confidence, he knows we can do it too. Why? Because we're all the same. We were made by God absolutely equal, totally equal, given total and complete domain over our own minds, to the point that we could, with free will, choose to believe that we're different, choose to believe that we're separate, choose to believe that we're small and insignificant. Isn't that amazing how many people, you look at this planet of 8 billion plus people, and so many of them are victims and think that they're less than and think that they're unworthy and they're the 99% and the 1% knows everything. Can you imagine what it must take, the power that we must have to make a decision that we are less than how God created us? It's fascinating to me. So this journey is a journey of correcting our misperceptions, our total, complete, incorrect perception of the world, but correct to give us the experience of separation. But once you've had separation, and frankly, I'm just bored of separation. It's just, there's nothing fun about separation for me in the egoic way. So I'm excited to move into this new way of experiencing separation, which is in the happy dream. I want to experience separation, meaning you have a body, I have a body, my grandbabies have a body, but experience it from love, from the knowing that I don't know it all, from the knowing that we're one, from the knowing that we can collaborate and co-create and together build something that works for everybody, for the greater good of all. That to me is super exciting, which is why I feel this feistiness. Anybody who wants to move their journey and position themselves to be part of that co-creation needs to come to the place of courage and says, you know what, I don't know it all. Maybe this chick knows something that I don't know, and I don't know it all, but I know where to go get the information. And that's what's so exciting about this is we have access to exactly how to co-create a happy dream. But again, we have to be willing to acknowledge that we don't know it all. So exciting. So this is a beautiful lesson 221 where we are coming to God in certainty, in expectation that God is going to speak to us because we're acknowledging that not only did we do the work to remove the obstacles, but we're entitled to it because we are worthy of receiving that level of peace, that level of clarity, that level of guidance.